Hello, and welcome to this episode of Phoenix Women, a podcast where inspiring stories are shared from women who have risen up from the ashes, overcoming difficulties and challenges in their lives and stepped fully into their fiery selves. Hello, I am Jane Mary. I am a women's empowerment coach, intuitive healer, and practitioner. You can find out more about my work on my website, janemary.co.uk. Before I introduce this episode's guest, I'm just going to check in with the usual check-in that if you hear anything on this episode that maybe is slightly activating or bringing anything up for yourself, please check in with yourself and give yourself what you need. Really nurture yourself and prioritize taking the steps that you need to look after yourself. Another disclaimer that there might be swearing, so just check in with where you're listening. So, welcome everybody. Thanks so much for being here and listening to the podcast. This episode, I have the very lovely Claire White joining us. Now, Claire White is a mindset coach, an accredited mindset coach, and she helps by guiding entrepreneurs to work with their strengths and energy to create more ease, abundance, and flow into their lives. And she's also a wonderful human design, chart reader.
Yeah, I think a human design guide, I think that's how that feels good for me.
Oh, awesome. It's so great having you here, Claire. Welcome.
Thanks
so much for agreeing to come on to Phoenix Women podcast.
I was thrilled to be asked, Jane. Thrilled to be asked. So thank you. I'm very excited to be here.
We just had a quick little check-in before we started, and we're both a bit like, we don't really know what we're going to talk about. So it's quite exciting for us as we're recording it, isn't it? So
absolutely.
So do you want to talk about how we met, or do you want me to do that, or what do
you you go for it. How did we meet? I can't even remember. I feel as if we've known each other forever, which we possibly have.
So Claire, you're one of these people that so like the social media gets such a bad rap, doesn't it, really? But actually, we've created a friendship over screen, haven't we, really? I don't know exactly how we met, but I know I joined. I think we've both crossed paths with each other's work, and we're both a bit like, oh yeah, I like that. I like what she's doing. I like that. And then I joined your Firm Foundations group, your community that you run, Kerry Gillett. And so that's been such a beautiful gathering, really, online gathering of women from all across the country, which I've absolutely loved.
I think it was actually through Kerry that's just triggered it. Yeah, I think it was through Kerry, and I think you were running it's like a womb wisdom like free challenge, and I joined and I was like, this woman is just, she speaks from her heart. And I think you spoke to mine, and so being in community with you actually has been amazing. And I always sort of say, I've got friends that live in my phone. And often I think sometimes the connection we have with the people that live in our phone that we perhaps haven't met in real life, there's often, depending on the circumstances of why you're kind of they are in your phone, I think you often have more in common than you might do with your physical community around you. So it is interesting, but I honestly am so grateful for the women that have found Firm Foundations. Because you're all perfect, and you all work together so beautifully.
Yeah, it's just great, isn't it? And I'm so grateful that you created it, because it's we all dip in and out, but every time, as it always is with any kind of connection or circle, whenever you're there, and you hear a conversation, or somebody says something, it's like, oh yes, this is why we're all here. I needed to hear that. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's just really, yeah, we need lots of, I always say you can never have too many of those opportunities for like women to get together in whatever structure or way that is.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think it's so important to realize that whatever it is you're going through, or maybe someone else in your life is going through, you're not on your own. And I think sometimes, we can feel quite isolated. I think especially if, you are in the online space and, you sit in your bedroom or your spare room, or you're, a corner of the dining room, wherever you operate your business from. And it's just, just knowing that there are like-minded women, that community, that you can just, call on quite
Yeah.
literally, and just say, guys, I'm going through this. What do you think? Yeah, I know that's been really, really important for me. And actually, it's just popped into my head. I was actually on retreat a couple of weeks ago, and we were just all sat around chatting. We weren't even in a session, or, and we were just chatting general stuff. And the wisdom that came through, like there were only maybe 3 or 4 of us just having a conversation. And I remember saying, this is why women need to sit together. The wisdom that comes through, the advice, the support, was just, yeah, I've got goosebumps just saying that out loud.
Yeah, that's
Mm.
amazing. So has that been quite to get to that then, has that always been quite a natural, easy process for you to sit and chat with other women?
No, no, not at all. I think I'm quite the introvert. And although my human design, I'm a 4/6, which I think you are too, aren't you, Jane? I'm sort of, a natural networker, a natural connector, but it's never really felt that natural. I'm leaning into it now, and actually I think it happens without you realizing it, doesn't it? The introductions that you make and the connections that you make. But certainly in my early working life, I guess, yeah, I didn't really have very many confidants, I suppose is the term. I actually, when I was younger, I went away to boarding school. So although I had, a plethora of girls that, were there literally 24/7 to chat to if I needed, I don't think, I mean, I had maybe 1 or 2 sort of
Yeah.
trusted people. But yeah, it hasn't been probably until the last maybe 4 years that actually
Mm.
the online community that I've kind of found myself in has changed all of that for me. I mean, I'm not some sad little lonely person that doesn't have any friends in real life. And I've got, some fantastic friends who, I will WhatsApp or message or whatever, and we'll get together and we'll chat about stuff. But I think having an online community where you have that commonality, whether that be working online, whether it be in a more spiritual sense, or just sometimes you don't even know why it is that you click with somebody.
Mm.
Maybe we've known each other in another life. um you know I'm a firm believer, actually, that especially kind of, when women gather, whether it be online or in real life, they have gathered before. So it's, yeah. And as I'm leaning more into that side of me that was always there,
Yeah.
but it's, yeah, that wild, wise woman has woken up in the last, I'd say, probably 18 months.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that has really solidified relationships that I'm having on and offline.
Right.
That was a very convoluted way. I can't even remember what the original question was there.
No, I think so I'm just going to go back to with the yeah, I think this, I always say to my children with friendships and things, and it's something I've always had, it's not about the quantity, is it? It's the quality.
Absolutely.
And I know we're all different, and how we have relationships and friendships is so different, but yeah, to have those friendships that you can really, you know, bare your soul and just be yourself, like your whole self, not just your smiley self. There's something really potent and quite special about that. And actually that the idea and the spaces of community and the online community and in person when you're in circle. And I loved how, you know, when you feel like you've sat like that in past lives and things, there is something that happens, isn't there, when you kind of all gather. Like
Oh,
it's there is this kind of shift where you all just suddenly sync, and it's like, oh yeah, we've been here before. This just feels so familiar in like your bones, doesn't it?
yeah, you can feel the comfort of it, like physically sometimes. It is, yeah, it is just that inner knowing that, yeah, this is how we're supposed to do it. I think.
But it can be really challenging, can't it? It's you know, it's that in this world today, like gathering in circle or going on these retreats, you know, how do you explain to people who perhaps have known you for a long time, and that idea of you doing that doesn't match with their perception of who you are?
Oh, absolutely. And this is something that I'm actually kind of battling. No, battling's not the right word. Coming to terms with right now, because I very recently started running in-person moon circles in
Right.
my town. And the first maybe 2 or 3 that I put out there, no one booked. Like no one booked. And it's like, okay, I'm here. I know I need to be doing this.
Mm.
So very slowly, I sort of 2 people were booking, 3 people came, and yeah, so it is growing, but it is kind of that, oh, well, I thought, so I used to do social media, and I'm a manifesting generator as well, which means I tend to kind of change hats quite a lot. So it's kind of like, yes, I've done social media and I've done Facebook ads and I've done the coaching and now I'm doing this and da 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 and melding it all together. And I think sometimes if people haven't perhaps been like following along my
Mm.
journey, they're like, oh, well, I thought you were a social media manager. Why are you, talking about the moon and da 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 da? And it's just like, well, yeah, this is who I've always been, but I'm only now comfortable in saying, yes, I work with cycles, seasons, and, phases of the moon and inner strengths and all of these good, it's going back to the old ways without
Mm.
sounding too Victorian. I don't know.
Well, I mean, it is, isn't it, though? It's, you know, it is. Everyone's talking about the new earth and this big change and things, but actually, this moving and shifting is back to the old ways, you know, of the really ancient, which is living with cyclical wisdom and in
Yeah,
connection with actually what is going on with the earth, because we're not separate, are we? I mean, I know everyone's got different belief systems, but um, you know, we are nature. So,
absolutely.
and I think a lot of people are struggling because we're all in our own isolated houses, trying to pay a mortgage or rent, and we're doing our own little thing on our own. And we're not meant to be on our own. We're meant to all be
Mm.
helping each other. We're meant to be in community. We're meant to be, you know, working with each other, working with the land. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I think, you know, it's this idea, isn't it, of being so far removed from that idea that it can just sound really strange to people when we've been so taught that we have to just get up and work to pay the mortgage and then You know, that's that cycle of life, really. But
Yeah.
is it soul led? You know, is it filling you up, making you happy? Is it bringing that ease and flow into life?
Oh, I love that. Yeah, I mean, God, the world is just moving so fast. And I think, we're all running to try and grasp and catch up with it. And it's just like,
Mm,
okay, just sit
mm,
with yourself. And, we know that we perhaps get a bit frantic and slightly, insomnia might kick in, and, that we kind of might be a bit quick with our words and our tempers fray. It's like, well, it's all, if you made a note of it, it would most likely be around full moon most months.
mm,
You can kind of see it when you're out and about. There's people are jostling, they're trying, they're hurrying, and it's just like, right, just slow down. We're not meant to hurry all of the time.
yeah.
It's, it is that ebb and the flow. And I always use New Year, New Year's Day, 1st of January, resolutions, change yourself, da da da. It's like, no, we should still be hibernating. It's deep
Yeah.
dark winter. Now is not the time again for rushing and rushing headlong into things, because the ground is literally slippy, it's icy, you're going to fall.
Yeah,
Just slow
absolutely.
down, take your time, take your cues from nature. The bulbs are just popping up now. um so yeah, for me it is very much trying in this kind of modern frantic, frenetic world to just take a step back and, like you said, just connect in with your soul and just think, yeah, how did we used to do it? Um, and I'm not saying we should all, throw our laptops away and, just go and move to a remote island somewhere and grow our own vegetables all the time. I mean, wouldn't that be the dream? But, it's just finding those little ways of introducing seasonal living, cyclical living into your daily life. I mean, we all know what we're like the week before we're due on our period. The last thing you want to be doing is rushing around, and, it's just realizing that we're not meant to function the same every day of every month of every year.
Yeah.
Um,
So has that been something that you've always done, or something you've developed? Because actually, um, that the idea of listening to your body and living in that way goes against really what we're taught and how we're meant, how we're taught to live, within a consumerism society. So, was that something you've always done, or has it been challenging for you to bring that in, or?
yeah, unfortunately, it's not something I've always done. I think as a kid, I did. My mum and my grandma were both very in tune to
Mm,
this. But then I think, yeah, when you become teenage and young adult, and then you're thrown into the world of, career and children and doing all the things, I forgot. I forgot who I was kind of, um, and how it, I'm going to use the word should, in inverted commas, be done.
yeah.
So it's probably only, yeah, in the last few years that I have embodied it again. And yeah, it is challenging because, there are some days where I'm just like, you know what? I know what is going on in astrologically. I know what's going on in my body. I know what's going on with the moon. I know all these things, and I know that I need to not do anything today or tomorrow. Um, and yet I'm a mum. I have clients. I have a husband, all of these things. And it's just like, yes, I would love to, rest and recover and do nurture myself in, abundant ways. But sometimes you can only grab 10 minutes for yourself, or, and that is a challenge. But I think that's where the communication comes in. And I'm, trying to sort of I've got two girls, so kind of trying to educate and teach them kind of, my way of doing things. Of course, they don't want to listen to me right now, but I'm hoping that it will just embed in. And, a bit like with my mum and my grandma, it was kind of like, oh God, yeah, they said this all along. And those little memories just pop in. So yeah, hopefully I shall instill something. But if I can just inspire one person, one woman, you know you've just got to keep talking about it, I think, haven't you?
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, absolutely. And I think it is, yeah, I totally hear you with life is still full, isn't it? And so it is finding ways if you can't fully rest. It's, I know that Alexandra Pope from Wild Power says, if on your bleed that you can just devote 1% of your day, and shift that to having some awareness and rest time, and really paying attention to it is the biggest thing,
Yeah.
isn't it? Then that'll have such a big impact. But I think this idea of just ignoring our body and our cycles, it's just detrimental to our own health, I think, overall, isn't it?
Absolutely. I love that, just like 1%.
It just feels, it takes the pressure off, I think, doesn't it?
Yeah. And it makes such a difference, though. I can remember listening to a meditation once, and she said, lie down or, sit, whatever feels comfortable. And then she said, now make yourself 5% more comfortable. Get 5% more comfortable. I was just like, oh, yes. So, and, those little tiny percentages. So, yeah, just having 1% more awareness. Make yourself 5% more comfortable, do what you need to do.
It's just it's those tiny little adjustments, isn't it, to every day? And before you know it, if you keep making those tiny adjustments, before you know it, it's like that 1% or that 5% changes to 50%, before you know it, without realizing it is.
Yeah.
It's the classic small steps into big leaps, isn't it?
Absolutely. And you just change like the baseline level almost as well. It's just like, well, yeah, I was starting down here. Actually, by just incrementally improving and having that awareness, I start, from halfway up the scale. So and it's going to impact people around you as well. I always think, we don't give ourselves enough credit. I think, just by having that inner awareness for yourself, it changes how you look, it changes how you walk into a room, and people are going to start asking, almost like, oh, what are you doing? What are you doing right now? You're looking great. You look really happy and satisfied, and whatever it might be. And often you can't put it into words, but it might just inspire somebody else to have a little think. So yes, I implore anyone who's listening out there, just try one thing, 1%.
Perfect. Oh yeah, definitely, just 1%.
So
so I think we've talked about, we just thinking about this being Phoenix women. And so I suppose really your rising is that of shifting your life into more of a cyclical way, in connection with other women as well. That's really supported you and helped you.
Yeah, definitely. And I think because I lost my mum and my grandmother within the space of 12 months. And that really, and I know, God, life is for living, and it often takes something awful like that to happen for you to kind of step into yourself. So yeah, I think that was definitely the catalyst that kind of was like, right, okay, no more messing around now. Why am I here? What am I here to do? And how am I going to do it? So yeah, although, you know, desperately sad. I mean, God, I feel them with me every day. You know, they are, you know, they stand on my shoulders. So yeah, it is, yeah, just honoring, I think, those who came before. And then by embodying it myself, I'm encouraging those that come after me.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that, Claire. Yeah, I'm really sorry to hear about, you know, you losing your grandmother, your mother as well. You know, that's really big impact. So was
Yeah.
that part of that was the catalyst for you into shifting how you live then?
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. It was kind of, I think I felt almost like I'd been walking around with my eyes closed up until then, just, you know, doing
Yeah.
what was expected of me, and, you know, whatever it might be. And yeah, it was when I started to find kind of, I suppose, find my voice. You know, at the time I was, you know, working in offices for somebody else, and it was just like, do you know what? No, this is not working out. This is not working for me anymore. I need to be out doing stuff on my own. So yeah, that was when I took all the online courses and kind of, yeah, just grew. And it was actually those times when I started kind of, you know, in the online what space of, you know, meeting similar, you know, women in similar circumstances, or, you know, in similar situations, not necessarily from the same background, or but it's just, yeah, we are here to do this together. We are here to do this together. Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, that's really, as you said that, I could just feel that through my whole body. That, yeah, we're not meant to be doing this alone, are we? We're meant to, yeah.
No, it's, you know, yeah, we are just, yeah, we're not designed for it. We are not designed for it.
So, yeah, so you touched on all the courses that you've done. So so you were working for other people and now you work for yourself. So what is it that you do now then, Claire?
So what is it that I do now? That's a good question, Jane. So I am, you know, I'm an eternal student, always doing courses. So I've learnt sort of the basics of astrology and human design, as well as the mindset coaching. So I'm kind of solidifying, I'm doing like a level 3 course of astrology and human design, and it's kind of, rather than seeing them as separate entities, it's combining the two. So looking at someone's human design enables me to be able to coach them in a completely personalized way. I know what their strengths, their gifts, you know, if they're living, the terminology in human design can be a bit strange, but it's like living correctly. So, you know, for manifesting generators, for instance, you should be feeling satisfied, for example, all the time, and not frustrated. So it's kind of knowing that about somebody and just changing the language, because for projectors, it's you know, it's two different things for, you know, all the other types. So yeah, I do human design and astrology readings, one-to-one personalized. I then can coach people through whatever comes up out of that. So yeah, it's kind of just using the knowledge of who a person truly is to enable me to coach them better.
I love that. Yeah. And your readings are great. I really enjoyed them. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I loved sitting with you. I loved sitting with you.
So if anyone is interested in your work, then where can they find you, Claire?
They can find me over on Instagram is the best place at the moment. And I'm frantically looking for my handle because it's so am I allowed to give my handle out?
If you're happy to.
Is that okay? So it's Claire_white_coach. So yeah, I'm having a website built at the moment. So that's coming soon. But yeah, Instagram is where I tend to hang out.
Perfect. Yeah. Oh, thank you so much, Claire. Thank you for sharing part of your story and all your wisdom. As ever, it's always a joy to speak to you. So thank you so much for being here, and thank you for listening, everybody. And be in touch if anything comes up, or you want to find out more about my work or Claire's work. See you next time. Lots of love.